During the first term of the Trump administration, additional tariffs were imposed on China, leading to significant changes in the Chinese manufacturing industry. What happened was that, because of these high tariffs on exports from China, many Chinese companies began relocating their production bases to other countries. For instance, places like Vietnam and, more recently, Mexico have been in the spotlight. Moving factories to these countries means there's an excess of labor within China. From the perspective of the Japanese, you might think labor costs in China are low, but from the viewpoint of the Chinese, there are countries where labor costs are even lower. By moving there, they can avoid American tariffs as well, so many companies decided to relocate their production bases. This worsened employment within China. On the other hand, regarding the American economy, although there might be problems that haven't reached Japan, it's generally considered to be doing well. Within that, the disparity among different income groups might have widened, and issues like crime and poverty might be masked, but these are long-standing problems in America. However, compared to China, America is still seen as much better off. During the last Trump administration, when America raised tariffs, China retaliated, but in the end, China was hit hard while America maintained its prosperity. Where does this difference come from? I think the problem with China is that its domestic economy is very weak. There was a time when it was said that because of its large population, it was a huge market, and doing business in China would be very profitable. But in reality, many Chinese are still poor, and even though there are many Chinese companies, the affluent are only a small portion, leading to an oversupply. Most people don't have much purchasing power, and those who do are too few compared to the supply, meaning China's domestic economy can't function well. Therefore, for China's domestic economy to be robust, all its citizens need to become somewhat affluent. A sensible government would consider how to make its people richer. If domestic consumption power falls, the economy relies on exports, meaning it's vulnerable to foreign influence. China hasn't been able to overcome this, so if America completely pulls out, China would collapse. However, America has a large domestic demand. American consumption supports the economy, with personal consumption expenditure accounting for 67.7% of GDP in 2024, showing that Americans have significant purchasing power. This means the American economy is less influenced by foreign markets. Now, with the second Trump administration starting, they are doing the same things as before. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party hasn't made its people richer but rather has exhausted them. I believe this time, China will face even more severe consequences than before. During the Biden administration, although the economy was doing well and stock prices were soaring, why was it rejected by Americans? I think it's because the income gap widened within America, and while the elite amassed wealth, ordinary people didn't benefit much. This dark side isn't deeply explored by Japanese media, so I'm not fully aware of the specifics of these issues unless you listen to experts on American economics. If everyone were happy with the economy, it would remain a Democratic administration. The general image is that Democrats support the weak and Republicans support the rich, and Trump himself is wealthy, but creating a large government under the guise of helping the weak has similarities to communist regimes. They collect money under the pretext of supporting the weak, but in reality, it's the elite who benefit. Therefore, a smaller government might actually benefit those previously struggling by reducing taxes and cutting unnecessary bureaucracy. This isn't to say government should be as small as possible, it's about what functions to keep. Previously, America might have been too favorable to the elite, so seeing how America changes post-Trump could offer lessons for Japan. Lastly, Japan faces both Chinese and American issues. The general population isn't getting richer, and there's a strong presence of vested interests. The median income in Japan needs to double for a comfortable life, especially for raising children. Also, the vested interests that Trump is supposedly dismantling in America are rampant in Japan too, with influential figures maintaining their power. Japan has great values, like consideration for others, but when it comes to politics, there's little discussion on how to address these issues. I hope Japan can learn from these examples to improve the quality of life for its citizens. Children from an elementary school near a wastewater treatment plant were discussing this recently. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.